Hey guys, it's Aliesha, or you can call me Lai. We are back for another video. This one's a good one, okay? We are talking about letting go of the old version of yourself and creating a new version of yourself. Definitely overcome this battle of my old self and new self. I feel like I'm not perfect, okay? I'm not perfect. But I definitely feel like I've overcome this battle of my old self and my new self, but it took me a minute to get here. Nobody talks about the battle. The battle, and it sounds so crazy, like it really does, like you're battling, but no, a lot of people are battling with themselves, okay? And you know, we do these videos on reinventing yourself and I love them so much, but a lot of the times we don't talk about the battle between your old self and the new version of yourself. That fight of feeling like, oh my god, I can't be this new version because this is how I presented myself, or this is what my mind is telling me, or this is how I feel about myself, but I want to be this new person, but I can't because this old version of me is popping up, showing up, all of these other things. And that is something I didn't realize when I was trying to like change up my habits or become a new person or present myself differently, even physically. It showed up for me so hard. And this is the way that it showed up for me, is that when I went on this reinventing journey, this self-love healing journey, and I always say that it's been about 4 years, but when I first went on it, I thought that I was excited to like look different, be different, present myself different, learn how to do my makeup, learn how to, you know, have an extensive hygiene routine and self-care routine, and like learn how to grow out my hair, because at the time I was trying to grow out my hair, and like also like change up my outfits. And I was thinking about reinventing myself as the outer layer of myself. I didn't think about it as, well, I thought about the habits too, you know, I thought about the habits and stuff, but I never thought about the mindset struggle, the mindset shifts that you actually have to have in order to reinvent yourself, in order to let go of that old narrative. And it's like, you can think about reinventing yourself and creating new habits and all this other stuff, but a lot of the times we don't think about the mindset, how much we might be battling with our old self, how much we might be battling with our old habits, our old mindsets, our old views, our old perspectives. It can be hard. It can be hard. And when I was trying to show up in the sense of the physical sense, of like, you know, changing up my hair, my makeup, all of that stuff, I found, or just my habits, I found that none of that stuck. None of it was sticking, because I kept thinking of myself as this old narrative or this old version of myself, and I wasn't getting anywhere. You know, I would get somewhere and then I would stop and I wouldn't be consistent, and I fell back into my old version of myself, or my old self, and I'd be like, oh my god, this is not working, this is crazy. And oftentimes I would think about the new version of myself while not loving the old version of myself. And I don't know if this makes sense, but I think a lot of the times when people think about the new version of themselves, or they go on this reinventing journey, it's because not necessarily that you don't like your old self. Well, sometimes it is because you don't like your old self. And I can say, like, in the past I didn't like the way how my life was going. I didn't like the habits that I was having. I didn't like that stuff, you know. But because I didn't like that stuff, I went through the process of becoming a new version of myself the wrong way. Because instead of looking at the old narrative as a gauge for where I needed to go, I kind of looked at my old narrative as like something that I just was kind of shameful about, or like the mistakes I made were like shameful, or the habits that I used to do, I just looked at it as like, oh my god, I don't like this version of me, I hate it. Like, not necessarily hate, but I was just like, I don't like this version of me, right? And I think that's what a lot of people do. They kind of look at this new version of themselves where they, in their mind, they're like, I see this woman that I want to be. I see I can be that woman, right? But you look at that old version as if it doesn't deserve to be nurtured. It doesn't deserve to be loved too. And instead you try to run away from the old version of yourself. When instead you should be nurturing that old version of yourself. You should be loving yourself loving that old version of yourself. You shouldn't be trying to hide that old version of yourself. And I would sometimes find myself trying to kind of put a band-aid over the problem instead of addressing my old self and maybe my inner child, or my old, like the old version of me. So what I mean by a band-aid is kind of reinventing myself through my physical looks, and to me that was like a band-aid, like, you know, maybe like you know, at the time I was I started off with like physical change. I still believe in, like, if you want to learn how to do your makeup and your hair, do that, definitely. But there's also a process that we're going to talk about in a minute that you should go through before you do those things. So when I first started, I was reinventing myself by learning how to do different makeup, and I love my makeup. I love doing makeup, okay? And reinventing myself by growing out my hair, because my hair was like really short before, and now it's like to my booty straightened, and trying to reinvent myself through outfits and you know, those kind of physical changes. And that's what I mean by like a band-aid, or, you know, and nothing really extreme, honestly, but, you know, just more of like trying to present myself outwardly differently. But instead, I almost was kind of placing my identity on my outer appearance, if that makes sense. Like, that's my identity. And I think, I don't know if this sounds crazy or not. I don't know. Sometimes I'll be thinking my thoughts sound crazy, but I do not think that your identity is placed on how you present yourself outwardly, or necessarily the habits you curate, right? That's not necessarily your identity, right? To a certain extent, how you express yourself to the world, how you present yourself to society, people could say that is your identity. But I think your identity and the version of yourself that you would love to know is the version of yourself that is in your mind. You know, a lot of the times your identity is in your mind and you don't even think about it. And what I mean by your identity is in your mind, it's how you think about yourself, right? So if you think that you aren't a great person, that's what's going to show outwardly. You know, if you think that you're not the best looking, you're not going to put any effort into your looks because that's what you believe. So you think that, oh, you know, I'm just going to let myself go because I don't think of myself as a, you know, as great or worthy or whatever. Or if maybe you think of yourself as somebody who can't achieve anything, so in turn you become somebody who doesn't achieve anything, because it's kind of it's called the self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, you start believing that you're one thing, and then that's what you express out, right? I think that's what I learned in psychology. I think I paid attention in college. I don't know. But yeah, that's what it is, right? So oftentimes we think our identity that we place on ourselves is usually from what other people have thought about ourselves, and then we've adopted it and placed it on ourselves, and then it became true because we started to think about the things that people have said to us, or maybe or whatever society said. So we start acting like that, and then in turn that kind of becomes our identity. So I wouldn't say your identity is necessarily rooted in the things that you wear, but your identity is rooted in your mindset. And I don't know if that makes sense. So whatever you think about yourself is what you feel about yourself, is what you're going to do. And I say all this to say, and this makes sense, I know I tend to ramble, but this makes sense because I could not change the old narrative of myself. For one, I had to love the old narrative of myself and face that old narrative of myself and love myself through that old narrative. But two, without changing my mindset. I could not become a new version of myself without changing my mindset, without digging up the things that I felt about myself, digging up the things that I thought about myself, and challenging those thoughts and picking them up and journaling through them and understanding, like, hey, where is this root cause coming from? Is this something that I truly believe about myself, or is this something that I've, like, you know? So like in turn, when I was trying to work on, let's say, growing out my hair, you know, I would stop because I would start to get discouraged, like, oh, I can't do it because, you know, this old narrative of myself is telling me that I can't. Or maybe I'm trying to build this habit of going to the gym, but I'm stopping myself because I'm thinking about like how this old person, this old narrative of myself used to do this. So, you know, in turn, I'm placing this old narrative on myself because I didn't work through my thoughts and my mindset. But once I started to work on that mindset and journal it out, dig up the root cause to why I felt the way I felt, whether it be about, you know, an insecurity that I had, or maybe a habit that I wanted to change, it couldn't stick until I dealt with that mindset of myself, or that old narrative of myself. And that's what I mean. You have to love that old version of you because it's gonna pop up. And it's what you do with that old narrative of yourself, you know. Do you hide from yourself? Do you get upset when the old version of yourself comes out? Or do you nurture it? Do you be gentle with it? And are you working on the old ideas that you had about yourself? You know, because if you don't do that, no amount of trying to change your makeup or your outfits or the way you dress or the way your habits are is going to work, because you have these old narrative of yourself, whether it was placed on from society or placed on to you from yourself or just the people surrounded by you. You need to dig this up and then challenge them. And what I mean by challenge them is, once you start to heal from, you know, these thoughts, once you start to affirm yourself and self-affirm yourself and heal and dig up the root causes, you want to challenge these thoughts. So maybe you have a thought of, maybe you want to be somebody who is super outgoing, has a lot of friends, but your old narrative is telling you that you can't do that, and that you're shy, and that you didn't make friends in the past. You want to challenge those thoughts and become a new version of yourself by putting yourself out there. You know, you gotta put yourself out there. Like crazy as it sounds, I have held myself back before because I did not put myself out there, right? So whatever I was trying to do habit-wise, or even if you your old narrative is that, you know, you're lazy, that you'll never be somebody who's disciplined. You know, you gotta challenge those thoughts. Not only do you have to dig up the root and heal from it, even insecurities that you may have about your face, about your appearance, you gotta challenge them. Like, if you have insecurities about your face or your, you know, do you look at yourself in the mirror? Do you tell yourself that you're beautiful? Do you challenge those thoughts? Do you push past those uncomfortable feelings? Do you look at yourself and be like, you are cute as hell? Like, do you look at yourself like that? That's challenging what you used to think about yourself. And or maybe your thought, like I was saying, is that you can't make friends, right? So do you put yourself out there? Do you go to events and try to go meet friends? You know, not only do you have to heal from this stuff, but you got to challenge yourself to think to do differently. So you got to put in the action behind it, right? So that's a lot of what I started to do, is challenge the thoughts that I had about myself or anything. And you can do this with anything. You know, you can heal from anything, and then you can challenge those thoughts that you may have. You have to be willing to let yourself feel uncomfortable. If you want to become a new version of yourself, you have to be willing to let yourself feel uncomfortable. Nothing is going to grow in your comfort zone, okay? You know, when I wanted to reinvent myself and become somebody who had standards for herself and put herself first, you know what I had to do? I had to start creating standards. I had to start displaying my standards, saying what my standards were, and I had to stand on that stuff. And it was uncomfortable because I started to lose people, started to lose like things, you know, like, but the things that I gained were so much more than that. You know, I started to gain people who respected me more, people who like wanted to be around me more because I respected myself, or people who, you know, I started to gain that. You know, it's going to be uncomfortable, but you're going to start to see a greater gain from the version of yourself that you want to be, right? A greater gain to becoming the version of yourself that you want to be. Start to envision yourself, like your new version of yourself, and then start to do the habits that person will do. So you start to build up those habits, and anytime any negative thought comes up, you write it in your journal, you turn it into a positive thought, you dig up the root, and you understand the way you're feeling. And it's just that's that's kind of the process you go through when you become a new version of yourself. You start to do new habits, but then, you know, sometimes these old thoughts come up and you have to challenge these thoughts. You have to work through the thoughts, you know? And so I started to build the habits that I wanted to build, and I started to show up as her. I started to show up as the person I wanted to be. You know, I started to go to things like, I started to go to Pilates. I signed up for Pilates class, and I just started out with the intro class. Now I go every week, you know, or, you know, I wanted to grow out my hair. So I started like buying certain products at the time, and it was so much trial and error. But I built up a habit, and now I do my hair like once a week, and it's become a daily part of my lifestyle, you know. And those are the things, like, when you build up a habit, people think that it's overnight, and it's not. You know, it's not overnight. And you can't build up a habit with hating yourself. You can't build up a habit from despising the old version of yourself, because that old version of you is what's going to get you to the new version of you. Because now you know what not to do. Now you know what you don't want to do. That old version of you taught you something. That old version of you taught you where you didn't want to be, you know. It's that tool that you're going to use to become the new version of yourself. So you cannot hate the old version of you. You have to love her. You have to love her, okay? You have to love her. I'm all about reinventing yourself, but you have to love the old version of yourself. The next thing I started to do was tell myself that I have the power to change at any time. I think a lot of the time when we change, when we want to change, we can't sometimes because we are holding an experience, a mistake, a person to who we were. I hope this makes sense, but if you made a mistake, sometimes you hold that mistake to who you are instead of that just being a mistake that you made. You know, you hold that as your identity when, like I said before, it's all in your mindset. That's not your identity. Yes, you made that mistake, but that's not who you are. That's not who you have to be today. It could go something like this. Maybe you weren't the best friend. I haven't always been the best friend in my life, you know. Maybe you weren't the best friend to certain people, and now you're holding yourself to this narrative that you are a horrible friend. So now that you're holding yourself to this narrative that you're a horrible friend, you're scared to make friends because you haven't been the best friend in the world, you know. But if you continue to hold yourself to a mistake while not telling yourself that you have the power to change today, you are going to be that same person. So you have to start telling yourself that I have the power to change whether I make a mistake or not. You know, if you made a mistake, that is not your story. I mean, okay, yeah, it's a part of your story, but it's not your whole story. That mistake is what's going to drive you to be a better person. Now you know what not to do. Like I said, now you know what not to do. Period. The next tip I have is to let go of any people that don't allow you to change. A lot of people experience this when they start reinventing themselves and they start seeing results. There could be people in your life that discourage, and I think I talked about this in my Stop Holding Yourself Back video, but there could be people in your life that discourage you from changing. There could be people in your life that bring up the old mistakes that you've made. If you want to show up as somebody who goes to the gym and then you start going to the gym and then somebody kind of tries to knock you or like be mean to you because you're starting to go to the gym and you're starting to care about yourself. So, like, you know, that's not a friend that's not somebody you want to keep around because they want you to stay the same, you know. Or if you move past an experience and maybe you did something really embarrassing but your friend constantly brings it up because now your standards are different. Your standards are different and they're like, well, no, you can't have those standards because, you know, you presented yourself as this way. Oh, baby, I can, because I said that's what I think about myself, so that's what I'm gonna be, you know. Let go of certain people, the people that won't allow you to be yourself and change into the person and the version of yourself that you see in your head. You know, there are friends that will allow you to do that, but there are other people that probably won't allow you to do that because a lot of people are afraid of change, including yourself. So the reason I say let go of it is because you don't want anybody to stop your reinventing, creating a new version of yourself journey. My next tip is to be around people that you can see yourself differently with. And reason being is because you want to know that this thing is possible. You want to see yourself in that person and be like, oh my God, well, she did this, so I can do it too. Like, you want to be motivated, you want to be inspired, you want to have friends that are smarter than you. You know, you want to have those kind of friends that can show you the ropes, that can help you through when you're feeling like you can't change, you know. The next one would be to change your environment, and this is something I did and I talked about this in my walking away from things that aren't serving you video. And I hold, like, you guys know, if you watch my channel, I'm all about walking away from things that aren't serving you, just walking away from things that are hurting you, everything. I'm a big advocate on walking away. I really am. But one of the things that I did, which I didn't know at the time, I moved states. I moved to a whole different state. And baby, I did not know that my reinventing journey would propel itself, you know, when I moved. Because at first, when I was trying to reinvent myself, I was in an environment that, you know, I was in my college town, and it wasn't like, it was a very small town, and it just wasn't, it wasn't a place where you can thrive in, you know. It wasn't something that I ever saw myself staying. Plus I'm not from there, you know, but still, like, you know, it wasn't something I found myself staying. But when I moved, when I changed my environment, I found myself thinking differently. I found myself feeling like I could be somebody new, and that nothing was holding me back from being a new person. And also, like, changing your environment doesn't only mean moving, you know. You don't have to necessarily move to change your environment. You can change how you clean your room. Like, is your room messy all the time? Change that, you know. Changing your environment could mean changing the music you listen to, or changing the things that you listen to. So do you listen to negative things every day? Do you always listen to the news? You know, is that why you always think negative? You know, sometimes we do that. Are we always on social media? Maybe you need to change the frequency you've been on social media. Maybe you need to change listening to the news every day and replace it with podcasts and positive affirmations and all this other stuff. I'm not saying don't know what's going on in your world, but like, you want to fill your mindset with more positive things, because this is going to help you in becoming the best version of yourself, into a new version of yourself. And this is a lot of the things that I did. Not only did I move, but I also changed the things that I was listening to, you know. I y'all know I don't really be on social media like that. I have Instagram down below, but I don't even post on there, which I want to start posting, but like I have a personal Instagram too, but not I have my Instagram for YouTube and stuff, but I never post on there, and I need to. But I'm just saying, like, I don't be on social media like that, but I'm gonna start. But like, I don't be on social media, like, even if when I start posting, like, I don't plan on being on there and scrolling all the time, you know. You have to have a boundary with yourself, you know, knowing that you don't have to be you don't have to be a part of this environment of always being on social media, of always like feeling like you have to, you know, like, I'm not saying cut out social media, you know, because it's fun, you know, it's fun to be on there. But what I'm saying is to change your environment to the point where you are just investing more into positive thinking, yourself, all of these other things. Number 7 is a video that I already did, is that you don't have to have everything all at once. I'm gonna link that video up above. But what I mean by this is, sometimes I would stop myself in the past because I thought I had to have everything together. Like, I thought I had to have my, like, okay, for instance, something I have been wanting to do was change my wardrobe and change up my style. But I'm like, oh my God, but I have to like buy this whole wardrobe now, or I can't show up as her, you know? And it's like, that's not true. You know, you can buy, if you want to change up your wardrobe, if you want to change up your style or whatever, you can buy these items in increments. Maybe you can buy like 3 pairs of pants for the month of August or September, whenever this video goes up. You can buy 3 pairs of pants for the month of September or whatever. And then maybe in the next month you buy 5 different tops, and you build your wardrobe over time. You know, stop stopping yourself from changing yourself just because you don't have everything, or maybe you don't have all of your finances together, or you don't have like the look that you want to look like or whatever. Stop. You know, there are things in your life that you can do right now to change your circumstance. Work on that mindset. everybody can work on your mindset. Everybody can get a journal and have a pen and work on their mindset. That is literally something you can do to change yourself right now. Okay, yes, the physical things are, you know, they're fun, they are self-expression, they do help us, they're a part of our identity, but I wouldn't say they are our identity. I cannot say that. But they do help in aiding in how we feel about ourselves. Of course, I'm not gonna deny that. You know, I love when I put on my makeup and I got my hair all curly and cute. Like, I be feeling like that girl, okay? But still, like, the mindset is way more important than anything you'd ever have, okay? Because if you don't have your mind, what do you really have? Period. And the next one I want to talk about is letting go of anything that doesn't feel like me anymore. And this is also another video I've done about walking away. I think I already said that earlier, but I did this video about walking away from things that aren't serving me. And I was talking about how I had recently just cleaned out my closet because it just wasn't feeling like me anymore. And it's so funny, for so long I had held on to clothing that just did not feel like myself anymore. And even though I don't necessarily feel like your outer appearance is like your full identity, I still feel like it is a part of like how you feel about yourself or your self-expression. And me keeping and clinging on to things that do not serve me or like make me feel good about myself anymore, of course I'm gonna feel like my old self. Of course I'm gonna feel like a disconnect from the new person that I am, because I'm holding on to things that I used to wear and it's not me anymore, you know? So letting go of things, and what I mean is it's not just clothes. It could be a job that you know that isn't serving you anymore and that you need to find a new job. It could be people, maybe people, which is sad, but sometimes it is people that you surround yourself with that maybe don't have the best interest in you, and maybe where your mindset is right now, you guys are just not clicking, or maybe it's just the outgrowing aspect, and maybe y'all just don't relate, or you know, there's so many things that we cling onto because they are familiar without realizing how much it can aid in not feeling like our new version of ourselves. So you want to let go of certain things that just aren't serving you anymore. And lastly, just investing in yourself, investing in what you want, investing time in yourself, investing money in yourself, investing in yourself. Okay, obviously be smart about it, but invest in yourself. Please invest in yourself. That has been the biggest thing that has helped me to reinvent myself, to create a new version of myself. And I'm still investing in myself. You know, like I said, I don't have everything together. I don't have everything that I would desire as becoming the woman that my dreams, but I still feel like her. You know, I still feel like that new version of myself, and it's because of here, you know. But invest in it. If you want, you know, to wear your hair a certain way, if you want to wear your makeup a certain way, if you don't want to wear makeup, if you want to wear your outfit a certain way, please do that. You know, invest in yourself, invest in what you want. Not even that, invest in your career, invest in anything that you want. And I talk about it a lot because it's so important to be the version of yourself that you feel like you should be. It's so important to create the version of yourself that you feel like you should be. Not what social media feels like you should be, not what society feels like you should be, but what you believe in your mind. And like I said, your identity is rooted in your mind. It is rooted in what you think. What you think is more important than what I think about you, what she thinks about you, what he thinks about you. It's way more important than that. So invest in who you want to be. Whether that be, I don't care. I don't care. Just invest in it. You know, whether that be career, whatever. Invest in it. Be who you want to be. And also love the old version of yourself. I know this was kind of a long video, but I'm actually really happy I did it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, and bye.